Hello everyone, welcome to the Ranger Show, brought to you by explore.org, sorry, the Africam show. My name's Russell Gerber, and great to be with you again for another show with the live cameras, checking out what comes down to the waterhole as we see the arrival of some big grey animals to the waterhole here at Tau. So great to be with you all. Thank you for watching. Hope you all had a lovely week and weekend. Looks like we've got a few elephant bulls hanging around the waterhole at Tau. As always, folks, please feel free to reach out and send out a hello. If you have any questions on the animals, about safari in general, please feel free to send those through for us. We always love chatting to you. And I'll do my best to answer your questions. Also today we've got some great highlights for you, as we usually do. We've had a fabulous week or two of leopard sightings at various locations on the cameras around the country, but particularly at Rosie's Pan in the Greater Kruger National Park. There's a warthog in the background, big warthog, not as big as the elephants, but you can see him walking just behind our elephants in center screen there. To the left, going towards a female waterbuck. Lovely to see the warthogs around. They often have a difficult time around Tau, which is a very dry area. But as I said before, we've got some great clips of the leopards that have been hanging around, some new leopards to us. We've been trying to create a little profile of all of them to figure out who is who. But looks like newcomers, which is always exciting, and we'll get to those a little bit later. But always nice to check out the live footage coming through from the reserves. And I've said it many times before, but to me, there is really not much better to watch than elephants hanging out by the waterhole. Unless they decide to defecate on camera, of course. But yeah, we're just going to go away from Tau for a moment. Check out some of our other cameras. Here with the little impala on the lookout. Look at those beautiful clouds that we've got coming through. I can get some potential rain. Kruger. Now, many of you ask all the time, when is the rainy season? Well, we're very much in the center of that right now. And as you could see on Katmai, just an amazing view of what an afternoon storm build-up looks like. We've got this young male impala here having a drink. And they often get quite anxious going for a drink, particularly when it's windy. Makes things a little more difficult for the prey species, as they can't hear too well, of course, with the noise from the wind. So it's a sense that they can't rely on as much, because they have fabulous sense of sight and smell. And on the smell side, that can make things a little difficult for the predators. So it depends on which way the wind is going. Certainly if it's gusty and swirling and comes from different directions, can make it very difficult for a young or inexperienced predator to not give away its location. As of course a young impala like this one picks up the scent of a leopard or lion or a cheetah very, very well. And if you look at this young chap, he's quite concerned, staring off in that direction. You might have thought he's heard or seen or even smelled something. It can be often quite unusual to see a impala like this on his own. It's likely there's some other males not too far away. But he really is staring off in that direction. You can see the ears pointing forward in the direction that he's looking. So something is worrying him. Now it might not be a predator, of course. It might just be him looking for the rest of his herd. But you can see those ears pointed forward and now just starting to move around a little bit more. So maybe he's decided there's not much to worry about on that side. But just to give you an idea out there of what it takes to survive as an impala and what they're up against, they are the favorite, or one of the favorite prey species of our highlighted animal today, which is of course leopards, as I mentioned. And as we look on at this fellow, let's have a look at our first leopard highlight of the day. And this is of a young male. Just watch him by the water here. So as you can see, he dived into the reeds there. And young male leopards often try to go for smaller prey like that, even the younger females. Now, what could have been in there? It's hard to tell. It could have been a fish in the shallows. I think it's more likely that in the reeds like that, it could have been one of our aquatic fowl. So maybe a young chick of the Egyptian geese, maybe chicks of the or the white-faced ducks, even something like a gallinule. Or a coot. Often they like to have their nests in these areas, even something like a reed warbler. But didn't look like he had too much luck. But he's got some seaweed in his mouth. Not quite seaweed, but algae in his mouth. So he's still young, inexperienced, learning how to do these things. He might have seen his mother do something like that when he was a young cub. But they'll take any opportunity they can when they're small. As they get older, more powerful, and more confident, you'll see they start to go for larger prey like impala. But you can hear that Egyptian goose alarm calling away. But I love watching young leopards because they really are trying to figure out a very difficult world for them. As many of you know, they are fairly solitary animals. Particularly the males will spend a lot of their life alone unless they're mating with the females, and generally spend about 1.5 years with their mom before they are sent out into the world on their own. So this chap, probably around 2 years old, I would think, been alone for a little while and establishing himself in a new territory. Of course, generally his father, the leopard who sired him, would be the dominant male in this area, or perhaps another. He's moved into this area because he hasn't picked up the scent of another male and feels that perhaps this is the place where he can make his home. But for the most part, young male leopards are very nomadic, having to move to different areas often until they find a spot that is not occupied by anyone else. Of the spotted leopard variety, even females, if there's a big female in the area, they might not take too kindly to a young male leopard, but generally the males are trying to avoid other males. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him over the coming months. It's very exciting to see what looks like a new leopard to us, so we'll see if we can get some more information from the lodges, if they know of this individual and where he came from. But really exciting to see. And a couple of hellos out there. Who we got? OMG23 is back again. Welcome back, OMG. Stephanie is there as well. Hi, Stephanie. Cindy Drake. Happy World Hippo Day. I didn't know it was World Hippo Day. Thank you, Cindy. See if we can find some hippos for you as we go past a couple of zebra and an elephant hiding behind the bush. And there's some more zebra for us as well. Who else is out there? Denise Hermandana, welcome back from Philadelphia. Linda Valentine, thank you for joining us, everybody. Who else is out there? Katiza says she's heard that impala are called McDonald's of the bush because they are eaten by everyone. That's very true, Katiza. They are, unfortunately, a very popular meal for many of our larger predators. Leopard is one of them for sure, and lion, and even cheetah, wild dog, almost exclusively go for impala. And who else? Kathy Barton, welcome as well. Ananda, thank you for joining us as well. So yeah, as I said, we're back live now. Looks like the animals all exiting stage right. I'm sure we'll get some new arrivals shortly. I did see we had a question from OMG as well, who says, good day, Russell. How big is the area of a lion pride, or how much area does a lion pride control? It's a good question, OMG. It all depends on food, really, and the density of lions in a particular area. So when things are abundant, generally around 25 to 30 square kilometers is a pretty good size. Ah, there we go. Hippo. Happy World Hippo Day. There you go, Cindy. A hippo taking a little chill on the side of the water. And just to come back to our lion question, so around 25 kilometers squared if there's a lot of food available. But in drier areas like Namibia or the Kalahari, lion territories can be massive, 400, 500 square kilometers. Which is huge, and obviously they won't cover that quickly. It'll take them a lot of time to cover that sort of ground, but yeah, so it's quite variable, OMG. It all depends on food. This looks like a big elephant. I mean elephant. A big hippo bull chilling out in the water. I've seen a little drop off in the water levels, but I suspect with heavy rain clouds about, we might see a little surge in the water again. Probably a few more surges until we start moving into the dry season. As we look on at our hippo, I did want to just pop a little quiz question to all of you out there today. We often get asked when we talk about leopards, and what we get asked is, do you have any black panthers? So I'm going to put the question to all of you out there, what is a black panther? So there's your quiz question of the day. What is a black panther? And where do you find them? So we'll get back to that a little later on. But something very similar to a black panther is, of course, leopard. And on that note, we got another wonderful clip of a young male leopard, that same boy, also from Rosie's, that we're going to have a look at now. So really beautiful looking fellow in this picture. One of the things that young leopards is scavenging. Often they will steal kills from them. It all depends on their confidence. But look at that, what a sight. There's not much better in the world than into the eyes of a wild leopard. He seems to be quite fond of waterholes. So maybe he has an affinity for, or perhaps aquatic bird species. But he's been hanging rosies for the last week or so, so keep your eyes peeled for him. As I mentioned, generally male leopards get chased off by mom at around 1.5 to 2 years old. They have to get away, so this guy is probably just trying to establish a territory for himself. Figure out where it's safe. He's not quite big enough to be the dominant male leopard. I think he probably needs another year or so. Definitely some bulk that he needs to put on. He'll get up to anywhere between 80 and 90 kilograms. If you think of the females, normally around 30 to 40 kilograms. So very big difference in size, and really the only clear sexual dimorphism between males and females. But yeah, he does have a nice full belly in this picture. So obviously making himself comfortable in his new home. As we go back live now with the arrival of our next set of elephants for the afternoon shift. Looks like we've got a bull nearest us here. And then a breeding herd in the back, which will generally be consisting of the females and their calves. The big bulls, many of you will know, don't spend too much time with the rest of the herd. They'd only really join them when they're ready to mate. And let's see who else has got any questions out there. Stephanie, why leopards so solitary, she says. Is it safer for them that way? Stephanie, it's a great question actually. It's something that zoologists and scientists in the African vertebrate world often ask of what the benefit is of being together, so being gregarious versus being solitary. Obviously you have both herbivores and carnivores that are solitary. Some that do extremely well being solitary, some that do extremely well in herds. So it's really just about the evolution of that species, how they fit into their little niche in that particular environment. And over millennia, those niches have driven their evolution to become a predominantly solitary or herding or gregarious animal. So there's no clear example of advantage being together or being apart. Each species will show advantages and disadvantages. You think of the advantage of being in a pride of lions, that hunting together gives you better opportunity and chance to take down prey. Think of wild dogs also hunting together in a pack, better chances of taking down prey. But there are more mouths to feed. There are more feet on the ground to potentially disturb your prey and give away your location. So everything has an advantage and disadvantage. I thank you for your question. And who else is out there? Melania from French Polynesia, Bora Bora. Lovely. Welcome to the show. Tracy Nicole Jenkins says, Black panthers are actually black leopards, aren't they? Well, it's a very good point, Tracy, but we'll get to the answer of that question a little later on. Cindy Drake thinks they're a melanistic cat. Another good answer. As I said, we'll get to more clarity on that in the answer to our quiz question at the end of the show. There's a beautiful waterbuck in between those elephants. You can just see his horns sticking out behind this darker, it looks like a female elephant. He's covered up now. A Cape turtle dove calling in the back. There's our waterbuck. You can just see that little ring on his butt and his horns. And the elephant traffic jam continues. Look at this big arriving on the scene. So that chap is probably not part of the herd. As I said, he will spend most of his time on his own. And the females and their calves, both male and female, will hang out in a herd together. Okay, onward, back to our Leopard at Rosie's show. Now, next, I'll just show you another clip of that. Yeah. Here he is again, checking out things by the water. So, if you follow his behavior, he seems to be really interested in fishing. Now, again, a very common behavior in even older, more experienced leopards, when the water holes start to dry out and there's not much space for the fish species left in there. And then it's often a very good meal, an easy meal to get. But as you know, many of these waterholes are full up at the moment after the good rains we've had in many of these locations. So be a bit more tricky taking things out of there. The ever-present in fact a crocodile hanging in water holes is very possible. So going into the water can be dangerous. But as I mentioned, a really handsome fellow. We'll do our best to get some more info on him. As I say, he's been seen a few times in the recent past. Yet that I can just get enough. He's still looking for any potential meal there. So as I said, we saw it in the last clip. He had a pretty full belly, looking a little skinnier now. They generally will eat around, if they can, every 2 or 3 days. But they can go even 10 days, 2 weeks without a meal. You start to see them looking quite emaciated, and you think, wow, they're never going to make it back. But all it takes is a meal, scavenged or fresh. And it's incredible how quickly they will recover. But as I said, beautiful sightings of that young male, so we will keep our eyes peeled for him, and you all do the same out there as we go back live now, looking at the just rear end of a giraffe at Katmai. Lovely female giraffe. As we get close to the end of our show, it is indeed time for an answer to our black question. So my question to you was, what is a black panther? And where do you find them? And many of you gave some fabulous answers, but the closest to the correct is Kathy, who says panther is a general term and not a wildcat species. And you are 100% correct, Kathy. Who else got it spot on? Denise Dana. And Cindy Drake. And Tracy Jenkins as well. So, yeah, many of you on the ball today. But black panther is actually simply a melanistic color variant of leopards and also jaguars. I've never heard of a melanistic mountain lion, so if any of you have seen or heard of that before, please do let me know. That's very interesting to me. I always put the black panther moniker on jaguars and leopards. But black panthers of both species have basically an excess of black pigment, or are melanistic is the correct term for that. But you can still see their rosettes if you catch them in the right light. They're generally found in tropical forests and countries that we find them: Kenya, India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Thailand, Malaysia and Java for the leopards, and then jaguars in the Americas, Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica and Paraguay. So thank you for taking part, everyone. I hope you got some new information today and enjoyed the show. Unfortunately, we are out of time for today. Thank you for your wonderful questions and for hanging out with us. We'll be back again same time next week for the Africam show, brought to you by explore.org. But from all of us here at the Africam team, stay well, keep watching those cameras, and we'll see you all again soon. Cheers for now.